Today we are talking about NUSO Connect, brand new product we launched. It is a contact center solution, and we've got some cool stuff to talk about. Anthony, why don't you just take things away and go ahead and share your screen too? We're gonna walk through this.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys. So thank you all for joining today. Make this one pretty short and sweet. We'd definitely love to go a little bit more in depth with you on an individual level after the call. Go ahead and schedule that with your channel account manager or marketing@nuso.cloud. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a high-level overview of NUSO Connect for Business and kind of where it fits and some of the nice key points and enhancements that we've done to it. So in its current state, okay, as of today, October 3rd, this is only available on our Orange platform, okay? As development continues with it, because this is going to be a constantly evolving product, this will serve as a standalone contact center, or we can layer it on top of Green, or we can layer it on top of a traditional PBX, wherever. But today, in its current state, it's on the Orange platform. With that being said, if you have customers that are currently on the ACD for Orange, now is a perfect time to go ahead and switch them over. There's no change in pricing. The pricing will stay the same on what they're doing now on the current ACD. But as I walk through it, you'll start to notice some of the features, the functionality, and benefits that are coming with the NUSO Connect product. To start off, I'm right inside of the admin here. As you can see, it's now living inside of your management portal. Okay, so you're not having to do a secondary login to go in and manage the queues or even pull reports. All that is actually now flowing through that single login through your management portal. And of course, this can be tiered. So if you have a call center supervisor that wants to make some changes in there and whatnot, you're able to do so with that. I'll get back to the management portal after and kind of show you some of the functionality that's on there. But what I want to do is kind of show on the user level first and then jump into what a supervisor actually sees. All right. So we're also going to notice something right off the bat here. So this is the NUSO Connect agent console. All right. This actually works as its own soft phone as well. So that's really interesting, especially if you have call center users that are just somewhere remote, or they have a computer that's locked down and they weren't able to download the executable, or they're using a temporary computer. They're actually able to go ahead and use this agent communicator as its own soft phone or web phone, I guess we can call it, because it has all that functionality already built into it. As you can see on here, it'll show you, and we'll run some test calls through as well, so you can take a look at that. But we'll have any waiting calls, so it's going to give you some nice information on that. Then we have active call, which is going to live right in the middle here. You have your internal directories as well as external contacts can show on there. Then going back all the way up to the top right, there'll be a timer of how long that person's actually been logged in for. Once I go ahead and click on the Ava Morgan icon there or emoji, I can go ahead and click where it says logged out, and I can go ahead and actually change some statuses there as well. Oh, there we go. Calls are starting to flow in. All right, so we'll run those in a minute here. But if I go ahead and click on available, I have a couple different settings that I can put here. All these are customizable. Of course, this is just for the demo environment, so I'm showing not available, system testing, or admin duty. All right, and we'll get to those calls in just a minute here. I'm going to go ahead and log myself out of these queues, so we won't receive any calls at that point. As you can see on the bottom right module that we're showing here, this is actually showing all of the queues that Ava is currently a part of. So billing, general inquiries, main queue, and the support queue. They're able to log in to all of them by just going ahead and pressing the button. Or if I just wanted to go ahead and log into the billing queue, I can just go ahead and hit that, and now I'm available inside of the billing queue. All right. Now, as a call rolls in, we'll actually start to see a little bit more functionality on here as well. And Phil, make that call whenever you get a chance. Actually, I don't know what queue you're calling into, so I'm going to go ahead and log them all. All right. So a few things happened here. So this call is actually coming in. If I were to answer that call, I can go ahead and answer that here. I can also call out from here. I can decline the call. I can put it on hold. I can transfer that call. I can add a conference, okay? Or I can look at my directory here as well. Now, you keep seeing that I'm getting a screen pop on here, all right? So this is a very basic screen pop at the moment. What this is doing, it's actually pulling data from our Salesforce instance. A couple different ways that we can go ahead and work that. Let me actually log out of this queue so that calls, it's still going to deliver calls to me there. So it's actually pulling out from Salesforce all the data, so whoever the rep is can actually just go ahead and enter in account numbers, and we can change the fields on what it's pulling. Soon, we're continuing to do some testing on it, actually popping up the Salesforce file. We've already successfully done it internally here, just has not been out and pushed into the production environment. But as you can see, it's already starting to pull information from Salesforce. And then there's two different ways that we can set that up for you. And it can also be done with other CRMs, by the way, but Salesforce is just what we use internally. So that's what we were working with initially on there. Now, you're seeing here when a call came in that it was automatically popping the information from Salesforce. I can set that two different ways. I can set it so that it doesn't pop up that information until they actually answer the call, or you can do it as the call is being delivered. User preference, that's why we put it both ways. I personally like it that once I answer the call, that's when the information pops. But again, that is all user preference at that point. All right. So that is the, again, high level overview of the agent console portion of it. Then we have the supervisor console as well. All right. So now what the supervisor console is going to do, this will give me a couple different metrics on what I'm looking for, so I can see if there's any active calls in the system, how many calls are waiting, maximum wait times, average wait times, how many agents are logged in, how many free logged in agents are there, max conversation time, and average conversation times. Okay. Now, if I wanted to actually drill down into a specific queue, for example, I'll go ahead and click on billing queue, for example, and what this will show me now is the details on that queue, right? So the name, of course, status of it, how many active calls, how many waiting calls, how many agents are logged in, what the max waiting time was, average waiting time, max conversation, average conversation, and then how many calls are received, served, abandoned, overflow calls, and out of schedule calls as well. And then if you've got an SLA actually built into your reporting metrics, that information would show up on here as well. Okay. I can toggle from queue to queue from here, or I can look at all queues at one time. All right. Same thing when I go ahead and click on my agents tab. All right. This is where we can start to play with it a little bit more. So for example, Emma Brooks, okay, is showing here. And once I click on Emma, it's going to give me some basic information on her. But let's say that I wanted to go ahead and log her in to the billing queue as a supervisor. I can go ahead and do that. And now Emma Brooks is inside of the queue. All right. So again, there's a bit of increased functionality than what you currently had with the Orange ACD. You were able to do this on there. This is just giving it more of a kind of a simplified and less steps way to actually see the dashboard and go ahead and log your agents back in. Okay. Also, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the call, if anybody has any questions, should be a Q&A box on the top of your webinar toolbar there. Go ahead and throw those questions into there, and we'll answer those towards the end of today's call. All right. With that being said, these are just different ways that you can start to look at the dashboards and so on and so forth. Now, we're going to jump into the management side of it so you can actually see how we configure these queues and also how we can look at historical reporting on the system. All right. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we have everything now living inside of the management portal that you're already going into for your Orange hosted voice side or Orange UCaaS. And it's right here under Connect, right? So if they've got this service actually activated on their account, that's where it's going to live. So the first tab we'll look at here is our Agents tab. All right. So now this is showing us all the agents that we have available for these queues. All right. So let's go ahead and mess with our friend Ava here, for example, right? So I can go ahead and edit Ava's extension, Ava Morgan, what their password is, confirm password, and then you're going to see something called PIN on the bottom. Okay. And then also what type of permissions does this person have? Are they a supervisor, or are they just an agent, or are they an agent and a supervisor? Okay. Now, the PIN number, this is interesting, right? Because I mentioned to you in the beginning of the call, or as we were walking through the agent communicator, that the agent communicator works as its own soft phone. The PIN number, what it'll actually do, it'll actually let you log in or log out of the queues directly from the desk phone, right? So you don't have to use the agent console as your soft phone. You can still continue to use your desk phone or your accession apps, or if you're using our Platform Connect bridge for Teams, you can answer the calls on your Teams, right? So now you have different options on how you're actually able to take those calls, essentially one more than you previously had, with that being that web-based client for your customers or yourselves to actually use to handle those calls. Now, also a few things that I can do under my agents tab. So again, I'm here on Ava, and when I click on more, it'll show me a few different things here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and manage the queues that she's a part of. All right. So we have the queue name, we have the skill. All right. So the skill, as we get into the different ring algorithms, this is really where the skill number would take effect. It'll work on some of them, just kind of based on what we want that distribution to be. 0 is the lowest priority, and 99 is the highest priority, right? So in the case that you have a customer and they've got 15 folks inside of a call center, right? But they've got 5 superstars. Well, we want to put those superstars at level 99 so that they get those calls into them first if they're available. If not, it'll start to trickle down that list. But again, as we get into the different routing algorithms and settings, that's where that'll be. Okay. So again, for all these queues, that's where they are, and we can just edit right from here. And then it's showing again agent and supervisor for that queue. Now, as we go in a little further here, now we'll look at our queues. All right. So again, billing queue, general inquiries, main queue, and support queue. What phone numbers associated with that? The operation, so that's automatic. So that's kind of just based on scheduling there. But let's go ahead and edit this queue. Basic information, billing queue, what its primary phone number is. That's just how the system gets to it. Service opening mode. Do we want this to work off the standard business hours, or do we want to open and close this queue manually? All right. Then we'll have our agents tab here. So who the agents are, what their extension or DID or internal phone number is, if they're an agent, if they're a supervisor, what their skill level is, and then I have more here so I can actually edit this agent for that queue. Or I can go ahead and just remove the agent entirely from there as well. Business hours and open parameters and close parameters. So you have different time plans that you're actually able to set up for each queue so they can run on different time zones. Okay, or different time settings, I'm sorry. And then once I've got my scheduling set, which as you can see here, I can add multiple different scheduling options for that specific queue. Now I can do what I actually want this to do during the day. All right, so it's a queue manager advanced for this one, but this gives me a couple of different features, right? So I have hang up, I have transfer, I have play a message, I have repeater, I have go to service, but in this case, we're just going to use queue manager advanced. All right. The type of call distribution mode that we're doing. So we have a few. So we have round robin, we have broadcast, which is a ring all, we have skills based, we have linear, we have top down. All right. And then we have NA if we're just playing a message for this, because we don't need those calls to distribute in any way. Maximum waiting calls. Okay. So what we're doing here now is we're starting to make thresholds on what this queue can do and what it can handle before it starts to do something else. Maximum waiting calls, 0 makes it unlimited. Same thing with maximum waiting time, 0 makes it unlimited, but this is all running through seconds. So you can go up to 120 seconds on that. And then the max waiting calls, you can have essentially an unlimited amount of waiting calls on there. On queue overflow, now I've hit threshold 1 and threshold 2. What do I want that queue to do? Do I want to transfer it, or do I want to go to out of service treatment or hang up the call? I suggest you don't click hang up. If there's no available agents, what do we want to do? Keep waiting. That's going to keep that call in queue. We can hang up the call, we can transfer it somewhere else, or we can go to the out of service treatment. Now you have hold prompts as well, okay, which you originally had, but now these are a little bit more detailed. So for example, as you can see here, I have hold prompts. When do I want those to go? Again, these are in seconds. All right. So what we can do is we can play a queue positioning message for them. So for example, you are position number 4, for example. If you wanted to put that, and then that'll just continually update them, whatever time settings you put here. And then you have a second hold prompt that you're able to do. All right. So when we do allow breakout, what they can do there too is, let's say we put in code 0, right? So whatever the PBX or the UCAS platform is set for 0, or you can put a phone number there or whatever the case may be, that's what it's going to take, right? So if 0 was your operator, or that was the extension for the operator, I'm sorry, that's who's going to get the call. Most of the accounts, they have like the operator at extension 100 or whatever the case, but whatever number you put there, that's where it's actually going to send it out to. And then this is where we're able to put our queuing music. If we wanted any welcome messages on there, your hold 1, your hold 2, and your overflow and no agent messaging as well. All right, which I'll show you where we can actually keep all those audio prompts now. That's our open parameters. The same thing with the close parameters. What do we want it to do? And then we have our holidays and special dates on here. So you can start to add, again, multiple things into the calendar for that specific user, and then play, in this case, it's going to play a message saying that it's, closed for the Christmas holiday. Going back into configuration now, and again, this is a higher level overview and walkthrough of it, but we'd love to, do these a little bit more in depth and one-on-one with you as well. But this is where I'm able to start to set business hours. These are system-wide hours. So if we're doing just using system, is what it's called, through that is where it would take just this, kind of default schedule. But in the case that the queue wanted something a little bit differently, perfect. You can go ahead and do that. Holidays and special days, right? So you already have those set. Out of service treatment hours, all right, or what we wanted to do out of service. Unavailable reason parameters, right? So this is what we had spoken about earlier. So on here, we can do admin duty, system testing, and we can add some more on those. Any queue parameters that we want, right? So with the queue, enable after work. So this is your wrap-up timer that's on here as well. Console configuration. This is just kind of some editing on that. I wouldn't mess with that too much. But then this is also now where all of our audio prompts will live. All right, so we can add and remove these as needed or edit them as needed. So right here, add audio prompts is where that would show. All right, so as you can see, I got a good amount of prompts there. We can go ahead and do here. Let's do tests, and then we can upload the prompt directly from there as well. All right, same thing if I was going to go ahead and edit the close holiday. Actually, no, it's just going to let me delete the close holiday. Once one of those is in there, you just have to go ahead and create a new prompt for it. Lastly, what we'll look at here, which this to me is my favorite part, was the enhancement on the report side of it. Remember, originally we had to, if you're familiar with the Orange platform, you're having to go to the COM portal or the control.nuso.cloud/BG. On this one now, you no longer need to do that. Your reports will actually live right here. And as you can see, I've already got some reports already set. We can add some more to these. These were just some default reports that we put on there. But what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at an abandoned call list, all right, because we've got some of those because we just ran a few through the system. So what this is pulling now, all right, I can either filter from here, all right, so I can look at last, previous, customer, advanced ranges for my time range. I can look at specific queues or just one. All right, so let's say I just wanted to look at the billing queue. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. All right, and then now what this is showing me is the call start time or end time. I can sort through here, what queue they came into, what the caller's phone number was, and the reason for end call. Remember, on this call, for example, we're looking at just abandoned calls. So that's what's showing up here. And then I can continue to look at caller numbers in specific as well. So it's giving me some nice sorting that I'm able to do. But again, if you are familiar with the Orange ACD that was on the standard system there, everything that would be downloaded would actually be sent in a PDF. On here, I can go ahead and download this and export right into a CSV, an Excel, or as an image, okay? So again, that just gives you a little bit more sortability. We're going to make that word up today. So sortability of those actual calls for the call center supervisor. One thing that you'll notice that's not on here yet, but will be on here soon, is the ability to schedule and email out reports. As of right now, they're just 100% downloadable, but you can definitely go ahead and set those to be sent out via email here coming shortly. I am making a strong push for that to get that lined up for us here sooner than later. And then finally, just a way to kind of go back into those reports. I don't have to click on the reports tab on the left-hand side. I can click on the three dots in the top and I can go back into this one. So we'll go ahead now and go into call volume. Some of these do have some pie charts as well associated with them. So whoever has fun with charts, well, there you go. We got some charts for you, breaks it down, color coded on this pie. And then we can start to look at these actual queues themselves and kind of see what's going on the call volume side, how many calls they've actually had in. And then again, we've got some other, right? So we can even look at like an agent missed call list. For example, our friend Ava has not been doing her job very good, as we can see here, missing a lot of calls. But again, it's also giving us the information of the caller. So just a lot more detail in the reports, easier to find, easier to access. And if you're starting to see those abandoned calls, well, it's giving you the phone number for them. So it makes it really, really easy to call back. If you are seeing those abandoned calls and you want to get a hold of those people before they call you back on that. Now, again, in its current state, it is essentially on the Orange platform only. We're expanding that as development goes on. So there'll be more updates as well as webinars based on functionality releases for this product. The framework that we have on it is we are going to be building out a much larger contact center solution with it, even though we've got our contact queue and we've got other call center options for your customers. This is going to be the framework moving forward as we continue to bolt functionality onto it. So if you don't have this on your demo account and want it, let's get one ordered for you, right? If you already have ACD that you're using internally, let's go ahead and swap out that orange ACD and put this in place. Like that, you start to familiarize yourself with it, because as we continue to add products or features, to it, I really want as many people as possible to learn the base layer of it and really get comfortable with it, because as we continue to add, now we're going to get into the fun technology stuff, right? So there's going to be some AI and sentiment analysis on calls. This will also be something that we are embedding directly into Microsoft Teams. So through our Bridge products, if you had call centers or customers that wanted to run their call center through Microsoft Teams, well, we're going to have something that's fully embedded. We've already got it. We're just making some final compliance and engineering changes to it. And that'll be available there very soon. So for those 100% Microsoft Teams environments, we have a solution that is there. And the best part is most of the call centers that are out for Microsoft Teams are not supported or developed in the US. Ours is 100% supported in the US. And then it is being developed or redeveloped by a company that we acquired that's not in the US, but they're in Italy. So we'll have some nice Italian craftsmanship on that. That being said, we are at the end here. If there's any questions, Phil, any questions that popped in there?
Yeah, we do have one good question asking, is it possible to be a supervisor only without being an agent? And it is possible on the queue level. So we can go into our queues and we can select, as long as a user has the ability to be a supervisor, which we can edit that under agents, you can toggle easily in the queues. For example, Ava, we could give Ava the right to just be a supervisor on the billing queue. Yeah, Anthony, go to queues and then go to edit one of them so we can show it. But yes, you can do that on the queue level. So yeah, go and edit Ava real quick, and you can see there's a little triple bar on the right-hand side. Yeah. So there you go. We can easily get rid of her agent access and have her just be a supervisor on this queue. So it's a great question. And that was the only one we had so far. We've got a couple minutes left. So if anybody has any questions they can think of, throw them in the chat. We'll stay here for a couple minutes. That was great, Anthony. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all for attending today.
Yeah, while we're waiting for questions, quick housekeeping stuff. If you do not know who your channel account manager is, reach out to marketing@nuso.cloud or reach out to our NOC. We'll get you connected. Also, we will be sending out, as we do with all of our webinars, a recap of the webinar. We'll send it out in email format with a link to the video to watch on demand within the coming days. And if you need to look at any of our past webinars, we did a launch webinar for this product where we had our product owner, Nigel Smith, go really deep into this product. We did that a few weeks ago. That webinar is in our resource portal. So resources.nuso.cloud. You can get in there as a partner yourself, request an account, register, and you're in. That is, of course, if you're not already in there, which hopefully you're in there. We've got almost 500 pieces of documentation, videos, training guides, all kinds of stuff in there. So I'm not seeing any other questions. Nothing wrong with that. Anthony, anything else from you before we shut this down?
I think that's it. Again, we definitely want to go more in depth on this with you folks. So again, please reach out to either marketing@nuso.cloud or your channel account manager or myself if you got my contact info. We'll get some smarter people than me on the phone as well for the higher level technical stuff. And we will get that done for you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye, y'all.